Inside ADX Florence. The prison food that breaks the mind, something in the food. Imagine being locked in a box, alone, for 23 hours a day. No sunlight, no human voices, only the echo of your own breath, and a metal tray that slides through the door 3 times a day. Now imagine that the thing on that tray, the only thing keeping you alive, starts to change you. Your thoughts twist. Your sleep vanishes. You start hearing things, seeing things. You swear the walls are breathing. You try to blame the isolation, but deep down, you feel it's something else. Something inside the food. At ADX Florence, America's most secure and most feared prison, even the meals aren't safe. Because here, food isn't just food. It's control. It's punishment. And sometimes, it's the final straw that breaks the mind. So what's really going on inside those concrete walls? Let's find out. The meal that broke the mind, a metal tray clanks against the concrete floor. John Doe, an inmate serving life at ADX Florence, stares at it. The mashed potatoes are cold. The bread is stale. The meat looks like rubber. But it's not the taste that bothers him. It's what happens after he eats. He feels dizzy. The air hums. The cell seems to tilt. He hears whispers, faint, impossible voices seeping through the concrete. He throws the tray against the wall, screaming for help, but no one answers. Guards watch from behind reinforced glass. They've seen this before. Another man losing his mind, one meal at a time. Arrival at the Alcatraz of the Rockies months earlier, John arrived in Colorado by bus, chained hand and foot. He thought he knew what maximum security meant until he saw ADX Florence. A fortress carved out of desert rock. Steel doors, cameras, concrete cells, and silence. Here, inmates spend years, sometimes decades, in solitary confinement. There's no cafeteria, no conversation. Every meal is hand-delivered through a slot in the door. No face-to-face contact. No smell of cooking food. No variety. Just a tray. Every single day. At first, John didn't care. He told himself, it's just food. But over time, the sameness started to hurt. Not his stomach, but his mind. Every tray became a reminder. You are nothing but a number. The rot of routine days blur together. The food never changes. Rice, mush, bread, repeat. John starts marking the days by what's on the tray. He carves lines into the wall, one for each meal. Then come the dreams. He dreams the food is watching him. He wakes up gagging, his mouth dry, the taste still there. He writes letters to the warden, begging for fresh vegetables or even a fruit cup. He never gets a reply. Other inmates say the same thing. It's not the taste that kills you. It's what it does to your head. The night it happened then, one night, the menu changes. The guards bring something different, a strange stew, grayish and warm. John sniffs it. He can't place the smell, sour, metallic, wrong. He takes one bite. His pulse races. His eyes blur. The cell starts to spin. He screams for help, but all he hears is his own voice bouncing back at him. He smashes the tray. The guards rush in. Then, darkness. When the lights come back on, John is on the floor, shaking. He doesn't remember what happened, but something in him has snapped. From that moment, he fears the tray more than the guards. The question that haunts him, John stops eating. He's put on suicide watch. Doctors say it's just isolation psychosis. But John insists it's the food. He says it's designed to break the mind, to make inmates easier to control. Is he right? Or has ADX Florence finally done what it was built to do? Turn a man into a ghost of himself? The underground food rebellion. Weeks pass. John's refusing trays now. Some days he'll touch the food. Some days he won't. The guards call it a hunger strike. But John calls it control. The only thing in this place he can truly control. And he's not the only one. Through the tiny cracks in the ventilation system, inmates whisper. Not words, codes. A single knock means tray delivered. 2 knocks means don't eat it. 3 knocks means someone broke. That's how the rebellion begins. The messages in the trays. Inmates start leaving notes, tiny scraps of paper folded under the edge of the tray. They write messages with toothpaste or blood, anything that sticks. Stay strong. Don't eat the stew. They're watching. Guards catch on and start inspecting trays before delivery. But the inmates always find new ways. One man carves messages directly into the bread before handing it back uneaten. Every meal becomes a silent war between the kitchen and the cell block. The commissary connection. Then comes the breakthrough. Inside ADX, the commissary is one of the few freedoms prisoners have left. They can buy packaged food, ramen noodles, instant coffee, chips, if they have the money. John finds a way to trade. He starts exchanging artwork, small sketches he makes with pencil stubs, for commissary credits. Soon, he's getting ramen packs slipped into his tray from another inmate down the line. The guards think it's routine, but for the men inside, this is rebellion. Each traded noodle pack is a message. We still have choices. Food is power. The food John gets from the commissary tastes cheap, but it's freedom. He crushes the noodles with his hands, mixes them with warm water, and adds salt from an old packet. It's nothing, but it feels like a home-cooked meal. He eats slowly, savoring it. For the first time in months, he feels alive. But that moment doesn't last long. The guards notice he's stopped accepting the main trays. They flag his behavior as non-compliant. His commissary privileges are suspended for 60 days. Back to the tray. Back to the same gray food. Back to the mind games. And this time, it's worse, because now he knows what real food feels like again. The taste of freedom is gone. The crackdown. One night, they raid the block. Guards tear through cells, searching for hidden food, letters, or contraband. John's ramen wrappers are found and confiscated. He watches as they drag the scraps away in plastic bags. Every sound, the crunch of the wrapper, the clang of metal, feels like a knife. When they leave, his cell is bare again. The air smells like disinfectant and iron. And sitting on the floor, waiting for him, is another tray. The same one. Cold. Tasteless. Waiting to be eaten. He stares at it for a long time. Then whispers to himself, "They can take the food, but they can't take my mind." The ghost kitchen. Weeks later, something strange happens. During the night shift, John hears faint scraping sounds, metal against concrete. It's coming from the cell next door. He knocks once. Silence. Then, 3 knocks back. A voice whispers through the vent. "They're making food." He doesn't understand. How? The voice answers, with heat from the light fixtures. Plastic bags. Coffee lids. You'd be surprised what desperation can cook. The inmates have created what they call the ghost kitchen. A secret network of men who reheat, share, and trade tiny bits of food to survive, and to remember they're still human. The first taste. A few days later, John receives a surprise. A guard slides in his tray. Inside the mashed potatoes, there's something hidden. A piece of ramen noodle, slightly burnt but still crisp. It's from the ghost kitchen. Someone risked punishment to send it. John eats it. For a moment, everything else fades. The silence. The walls. The cameras. He can almost taste freedom again. But what John doesn't know is that the rebellion has been discovered. And the punishment that's coming next will make the food war look like mercy. The crackdown, when ADX fights back. The rebellion doesn't last long. Nothing inside ADX ever does. It starts with whispers. Then silence. Then the sound of boots. The guards sweep through the block at dawn. No warning. No words. Just the heavy rhythm of footsteps and the metallic slam of doors opening one by one. They call it a sanitation inspection. But everyone knows what it really is, a purge. The ghost kitchen is gone. Within an hour, every hidden stash of ramen, coffee, and sugar is found. Plastic bags are ripped from vents. Heating wires are cut. Notes are burned right in front of the inmates' eyes. The ghost kitchen, the one secret that gave the prisoners a sense of control, is gone. For John, it's like watching hope being dragged out in a trash bag. He sits on his bunk as they take the tray from his cell, dump it, and replace it with a new one, smaller, colder, and labeled restricted diet. It's a silent punishment for what they call organized manipulation. He doesn't argue. He just stares at the gray food until it blurs. Psychological warfare. In the days that follow, the guards change everything. Mealtimes shift randomly. Sometimes breakfast comes at 3 a.m., sometimes at noon. The menu rotates unpredictably. Hot food one day, frozen the next. And no one knows when the next tray will slide through the slot. The uncertainty is deliberate. Experts say ADX uses it to break the sense of time, to confuse prisoners' internal clocks. For John, it works. He loses track of days. He doesn't know if he's hungry or full. The food becomes part of the mental fog that's swallowing him whole. He whispers to himself, "They don't need chains if your mind is their cage." The therapeutic meal. Then, something new appears. A small note on his tray reads, "Therapeutic meal, for mental health evaluation. The tray looks different. The food smells cleaner. It's softer, smoother, like it's been carefully prepared. But when John takes a bite, it feels wrong. The texture, the aftertaste, chemical, almost sweet. Within minutes, his heartbeat slows. His head swims. He falls asleep sitting up, tray still on his lap. When he wakes, it's been 8 hours. The tray is gone. He has no idea what was in that food. Was it medicine? Sedation? Or just another way to control him? No one tells him. They never do. The hunger rebellion. When word spreads about the therapeutic meals, more inmates start refusing to eat. Some call it protest. Others call it survival. The guards respond by enforcing nutrition checks, force-feeding inmates who stop eating for too long. It's brutal, clinical, and silent. No one talks about it out loud. Through the vents, John hears muffled screams. Then nothing. The food, once a symbol of control, has become a weapon, both sides using it against each other. The guards to dominate, the prisoners to resist. And caught in the middle is John. Tired, starving, confused, but not broken. Not yet. The night of the flood. One night, everything changes. At exactly 2:17 a.m., a loud alarm echoes through the cell block. A pipe bursts in the kitchen. Water floods the corridors, soaking the trays stacked for morning delivery. The guards scramble to contain it. But amidst the chaos, someone, no one knows who, leaves a message scrawled in black marker on the wall near the kitchen door. You can't starve the soul. The next morning, John gets his tray late. The food is cold. The bread is soggy. But under it, pressed flat and wet, is a small slip of paper, the same handwriting as before. It reads, "Still cooking. Still alive." John looks up at the camera lens in the corner of his cell. And for the first time in months, he smiles. The retaliation, the return of the ghost kitchen after the flood, something changes. The guards think they've crushed the rebellion. But in the silence of the night, whispers start again, soft, rhythmic knocks through the vents. One knock. Pause. Then 3 back. The code is alive. The ghost kitchen is back. Rebuilding in the shadows this time, it's smarter. No wires. No obvious tools. Just human ingenuity. They use sunlight from the slit windows to warm foil packets. They hide salt and coffee in soap bars. They use paper scraps as spoons. Through those tiny acts, the prisoners rebuild their world, one bite at a time. For them, food is no longer just survival. It's rebellion. It's faith. It's proof they're still human. John's role. John becomes the messenger. He doesn't cook, he connects. He hides coded recipes inside letters to the outside world, disguised as poems. Lines like, "Boil memory in silence. Add patience. Serve with hope." Each one carries instructions, how to prepare, heat, or share contraband food without getting caught. But with every poem, the risk grows. The discovery one morning, a guard enters John's cell holding a stack of letters. "You think we don't read these?" he says. He throws the papers onto the floor and grinds them under his boot. For the first time, John doesn't look away. He says quietly, "You can crush the paper, but you can't crush the recipe." The guard laughs and leaves. But John knows what's coming next. Punishment. The return of this special meal. That night, a new tray slides in. Different smell. Different texture. This special meal. John hesitates. He remembers the first time. The sleep. The fog. But this time, he doesn't eat it. He places it by the vent and whispers, "Pass it along." Minutes later, the sound of scraping metal. The tray is pulled away through the vent gap, shared cell by cell. The food meant to silence them now fuels the ghost kitchen. The signal at dawn. Every inmate who received part of that meal does the same thing. They leave one untouched crumb in the center of their tray, shaped like a circle. It's a signal to the guards, seen from the cameras above, you haven't won. The leak. When ADX's secret went public, the message was never meant to leave the walls. But somehow it did. One of John's coded poems, the ones he'd been sending out for months, reached someone who understood it wasn't poetry at all. It reached a journalist. The journalist. Her name was Emily Carter, an investigative reporter from Denver who had been following stories about inmate conditions for years. She receives a thin letter from ADX Florence. No return name, no sender, just a simple postmark. The poem reads, "We eat silence seasoned with fear. Hope boiled dry. But still we cook." At first, she thinks it's just art. Then she notices strange patterns. words underlined in a rhythm. Every third word spells something different. The food is control. That's when she knows someone inside is trying to speak. Breaking the code, Emily digs deeper. She compares the letters she's received from other inmates and realizes there's a system. Each poem contains a hidden recipe, a warning, or a cry for help. Together, they describe a world of forced isolation, mental decay, and meals designed not just to sustain, but to break. When she reaches out to the Bureau of Prisons for comment, she gets the same answer every journalist does: no comment on inmate discipline procedures. That's when she decides to publish. The headline 2 weeks later, the story hits national news. The headline reads, "Inside ADX Florence, inmates claim food is used for psychological control." It explodes across the internet. Talk shows, podcasts, news specials. Everyone's asking the same question. Can prison food really break the human mind? Inside reaction back inside ADX. John hears the news through a guard's radio. They don't tell him directly, but the whispers spread fast through the vents. "They did it," someone says. The outside knows. For the first time in years, hope buzzes through the walls like electricity. Tiny acts of rebellion begin again. Smiles between cells, quiet laughter, even humming during meal delivery. But the celebration doesn't last. The lockdown within hours, the prison goes into full lockdown. Lights stay on 24/7. All mail is stopped. Even commissary privileges are suspended. The guards patrol more frequently. The food, colder, smaller, harsher. And yet, that night, every inmate who can still whisper says the same 2 words through the vents: "We're heard." For John, it's a moment of victory, small but real. He may still be locked away, but his words have escaped. And in a place built to erase voices, that's the ultimate act of defiance. The government responds under public pressure. Officials release a statement. ADX Florence meets all federal nutrition and health standards. There is no evidence of psychological manipulation through food. But behind those words, quiet panic sets in. The warden orders a full investigation into how the letters got out. John's name lands on the list. The search they tear through his cell. Everything, the sheets, the letters, even his drawings, gone. All that's left is the cold concrete and a steel bed frame. He's told he'll be moved to Observation Unit B for further evaluation. In ADX terms, that means total silence. No mail, no contact, no light changes. Just darkness and meals you can't trust. But before they take him away, he presses one last message into the wall, carved with the edge of a spoon. Even silence tastes like something. Observation Unit B, the taste of silence. The hallway leading to Observation Unit B smells like metal, bleach, and fear. John walks down it in chains. No sound except the echo of his own steps and the buzz of fluorescent lights overhead. This isn't regular solitary. This is where they send men who start asking questions. The cell is smaller, colder. No books, no pencil, no window. Just a bed bolted to the floor and a tray slot that opens with a hiss like a snake. When the door locks behind him, the sound feels final. The first meal hours later, the slot opens. A tray slides in, gray plastic, lid sealed. John peels it open. Inside, something beige and thick. It doesn't look like food. No smell, no texture, just paste. He dips a finger in. Tasteless. Not sweet, not salty, nothing. For the first time in his life, he realizes what it means when people say flavorless. It's not just the absence of taste, it's the absence of feeling. He takes a few bites, but it's like eating fog. It fills the stomach, but empties the mind. The taste of nothing. Days pass, or maybe weeks. He loses track. The meals never change. Same color, same weight, same silence. He starts imagining flavors. He can see them in his head, colors swirling, memories of food he once knew. His mother's chili, a bite of apple, even cold coffee. But when he opens his mouth, nothing. That's when he understands the cruelty of it. They've taken away taste because it's the last connection to the world outside. And if you can't taste, you can't remember. The whisper behind the wall. One night, when everything is still, he hears a faint whisper through the wall. A voice. Low, raspy, familiar. "John, you still cooking?" It's a joke, the old ghost kitchen code. He almost laughs. "Not yet," he whispers back. "But I will." The voice answers. "Then you're not gone." In that moment, John feels something spark again, tiny but real. Proof that the system hasn't erased him completely. Experimentation. A few days later, John starts an experiment. He saves crumbs from each meal, separating them on a torn piece of tissue. One pile from breakfast, one from dinner. He mixes them with water from the sink, just to change them, to taste something new. It's disgusting, but for a second, it feels like rebellion. That night, he dreams of flavors. The paste becomes pizza. The gray turns to red. He can almost smell garlic and oil. When he wakes, his face is wet with tears. Not because of hunger, but because, in the dream, the food was alive. The psychological games. Weeks later, guards begin serving the meals at different temperatures. Sometimes hot, sometimes frozen, sometimes nothing for hours, then 2 trays at once. John realizes it's a test. They're watching how he reacts. They're trying to see how long it takes before he breaks. He refuses to give them the satisfaction. He eats quietly. Even when the food is ice cold or steaming hot, he forces himself to smile. He whispers to the air, "You can't break a man who eats his own silence." The visit. One morning, a voice crackles through the intercom. "John Doe, medical evaluation." They escort him down a corridor into a white room. A man in a lab coat sits behind glass. "John," he says calmly, "we're adjusting your diet for your own safety." John stares at him. "What's in it?" The man smiles. "Just nutrients. You don't need to worry about flavor." John leans closer to the glass. "Flavor is memory," he says softly, "and memory is freedom." The doctor writes something on his clipboard and signals for the guards. Session over. Back to the cell. When John returns, a new tray is waiting. It looks the same, gray, soft, dead. But this time, he doesn't touch it. He lifts it to the light, looks straight into the security camera, and says, "You can take my taste, but you can't take my hunger." Then he places the tray back, untouched. That night, the vents carry a new rhythm. Knocks, faint but certain, spreading from cell to cell. A signal. The ghost kitchen is still alive. Even in the taste of nothing, hope still has flavor. The rogue guard. When the walls start to crack, it starts on a Thursday. No warning, no alarm. Just the faint scrape of a boot outside John's cell, and a whisper that doesn't sound like any other guard. "Hey, you awake?" John freezes. No one talks during night rounds. It's strictly forbidden. He hesitates, then answers softly, "Who's asking?" The voice replies, "Someone who's tired of feeding ghosts." The guard. His name is Officer Ramirez, a mid-level corrections officer who's been at ADX for nearly 10 years. He's seen it all: the hunger strikes, the hallucinations, the breakdowns. He's watched men disappear into silence and never come back. But something about John's case bothered him. The letters, the lockdown, the fact that the food had changed. He wasn't supposed to know, but he did, and it kept him up at night. So that night, when the cameras in his section went on routine diagnostic reset, Ramirez took a risk. The exchange. He slides open John's tray slot, just enough for a whisper. From his pocket, he pulls out something small and folded in plastic. "Here," he says quietly. "Don't let them see it." John reaches out slowly. His hands tremble. Inside the bag, a cracker. Just one. But it's salted. Real salt. Real flavor. Something he hasn't tasted in months. John stares at it like it's treasure. "Why?" he whispers. Ramirez looks away. "Because no man deserves to forget what the world tastes like." The risk. For a week, Ramirez keeps sneaking in small things: a sugar packet, a bit of dried fruit, even a slice of lemon once. Tiny gestures that mean everything. He times it perfectly, during system reboots, power fluctuations, or moments when the cameras shift focus. To anyone else, the trays look the same. But to John, every bite is a spark of memory. Each taste floods him with flashes of life before the walls. Laughter. Coffee. The warmth of sunlight on skin. For the first time, his dreams stop being nightmares. The warning then: one night, Ramirez doesn't show up. The next morning, a new guard delivers the tray, rough, silent, mechanical. The food is back to the beige paste. John feels a chill. Through the vent, he whispers the ghost kitchen code. 1 knock, then 3. No answer. 2 days later, during lunch delivery, he sees a flash of something in the reflection of the tray slot window. A figure escorted by 2 officers, hands cuffed, head down. It's Ramirez. He's being taken out. The consequence. Rumors spread fast, even through solid concrete. Some say Ramirez got caught giving out unauthorized materials. Others say he spoke up about the food program to internal affairs. Either way, he's gone. And the meals get worse. Smaller, colder, harsher. Every tray feels like punishment, not for breaking the rules, but for remembering what flavor felt like. John keeps the last crumb Ramirez gave him hidden under the edge of his mattress. A tiny flake of lemon rind, dried and hard as glass. Each night, he takes it out, smells it, and whispers, "You reminded me who I am." The message one morning, during a rare medical check, John notices something odd. His food tray has a small line carved into it, faint but deliberate. He traces it with his finger. It's a letter R, Ramirez's mark, a sign he's still alive. Somewhere, somehow, still fighting back. John smiles for the first time in months. Not a big smile, just a flicker of hope. But in a place like ADX Florence, that's everything. The new arrival, a plan to escape the mind trap. The day the new inmate arrives, the whole unit feels it. Even through the layers of steel and silence, something changes, like a shift in the air. The guards walk heavier. Doors open slower. And for the first time in months, John hears the unmistakable sound of chains clinking down the hallway. Then a voice, calm, steady, with a strange kind of confidence. Name's Miller. Unit B, Cell 9. John freezes. He's in Cell 10. That means Miller is his neighbor. First contact that night. When the lights dim, John taps on the vent. One knock, then three. The old ghost kitchen code. For hours, silence. Then, finally, three knocks back. Miller knows the code. John whispers, "You new here?" Miller answers softly through the vent. Not new to this. Been through Marion before they shut it down. John blinks in the dark. Marion, the infamous federal penitentiary that came before ADX. If Miller survived that, he's not ordinary. The strange question the next day, as trays slide through, Miller asks a question that makes John pause. Ever think the food isn't made here? John laughs bitterly. Of course it is. Same kitchen, same gray paste. Miller replies, "No, brother. I mean, have you ever wondered where it really comes from?" John frowns. "What do you mean?" Miller whispers, "They're running tests. Nutritional control trials. Behavioral modification. The paste isn't food, it's data." John doesn't answer. He wants to call it paranoia, but deep down, he's seen too much to dismiss it. The clues over the next few days, Miller shares things that don't make sense. How the taste changes slightly depending on which shift is on duty, how some inmates act differently after certain batches, how one man stopped sleeping for 5 days straight, then suddenly broke down crying during a meal. He calls it the mind diet. According to him, the prison food isn't just bland. It's engineered to strip emotions, flatten reactions, and test human endurance. And suddenly, John remembers something the doctor once said during medical evaluation. You don't need to worry about flavor. Now it sounds different. Now it sounds like a warning. The plan one night, Miller reveals why he's really there. "I'm not just another convict," he says. "I used to work logistics for the Bureau. I know where they keep the food manifests, and how to trace where it comes from." John listens in silence. "If I can get access to the paperwork," Miller continues, "I can prove they're experimenting on us. But I need a distraction." John laughs under his breath. "You're in a box, Miller. What kind of distraction can we make in here?" The voice through the vent grows calm. The only kind they'll never expect. The hunger strike the next morning, John does the unthinkable. He refuses his tray. So does Miller. At first, the guards ignore it. Then, when more cells start refusing, they notice. Whispers spread through the vents. "Don't eat. Don't swallow. Make them see." Within 48 hours, half the unit has stopped eating. The food meant to break their minds is now their weapon. The guards panic. Medical staff swarm the unit. The air smells of disinfectant and tension. And amid the chaos, Miller makes his move. The access during a medical check, he feigns collapse. 2 guards rush in. As they lift him, he palms a small metal tag off one of their belts, a master access chip for the storage corridor. He hides it in the cuff of his sleeve. Later that night, he whispers through the vent, "I got it." John stares at the wall, heart pounding. "What now?" Miller answers, "Now, we make them feed us the truth." The twist before John can reply, alarms suddenly blare through the corridor. The lights flash red. Metal doors slam shut one by one. A voice echoes through the intercom. Code black. Unit B lockdown. Inmate interference detected. John's pulse races. He pounds on the wall. Miller, what did you do? Through the vent comes one final whisper. Just remember, hunger is the only thing they can't control. Then silence. Miller's gone. The lockdown files. What Miller left behind, the sirens echo through the night. Red lights flash against the gray concrete walls, painting everything in chaos. For hours, John sits in the dark, listening to the mechanical hum of the lockdown system sealing every cell. Then, silence. A silence so deep, it hums in his skull. Miller is gone. No sound. No whisper. No knock. But when the breakfast tray slides in the next morning, John notices something strange. There's writing on the bottom of the tray, faint, etched with something sharp. A single line of text, Vent 4B left shaft. Midnight. Find the truth. John's heart stops. It's Miller's handwriting. The discovery that night. John waits until the lights flicker for system maintenance, the only time the cameras blink off for a few seconds. He moves fast, pushing the tray aside and reaching toward the vent. Behind the steel grate, taped to the inside with clear film, he finds a folded piece of paper. Yellowed, smudged, torn. He opens it carefully. It's a manifest sheet, labeled ADX Nutritional Supply Program, Batch 1192. He scans the lines. Something doesn't make sense. It lists multiple food sources from Experimental Nutrition Division, Quantico Labs. Quantico, the same place tied to FBI behavioral research. John feels the room spin. It's real. Miller wasn't paranoid. They were testing on them. The ingredient list, the manifest list coded additives. Compound X, 7, behavior suppression agent, additive B12, beta, cognitive stability regulator, dose variable, emotional response dampening range 0.3 to 0.9 milligrams. It's written like a lab report, not a food order. John's breath quickens. Every strange change in the meals, every emotional collapse, every blank stare he saw in other inmates, it all connects. They weren't being fed. They were being studied. The message hidden within at the bottom of the page, Miller left one more line, scribbled by hand. If they silence me, tell them. Flavor was the last freedom. John folds the page, hides it under his mattress, and whispers to the air, I'll tell them. I swear. The retaliation. By morning, guards storm the unit. They pull inmates out one by one. When they reach John, the lead officer shouts, Where's the paper, Doe? John stays silent. They tear the cell apart, the mattress, the sink, even the vent. They find nothing. He hid the manifest inside his tray, folded and sealed under the bottom lip. Every time they take it out, it goes with the food, unnoticed. For now, it's safe. But John knows what's coming next. ADX Florence doesn't tolerate secrets. And Miller's disappearance means the warden is hunting for answers. The warden's visit hours later, the door opens. For the first time, John sees the man behind everything, Warden Keller. Tall, cold eyes, voice like gravel. Mr. Doe, Keller says. You've been busy. John stares at him. I just eat what you give me. Keller smirks. Good. Then you understand your place. He leans closer. You'll be on medical observation from now on. Special meals. Custom prepared. You'll like them. John knows what that means. They're isolating him again. But this time, with something worse. As the warden leaves, he says one final thing. Whatever Miller told you, forget it. Nobody cares about food. The whisper after the storm that night, the lights flicker again. Through the vent, faint, soft, broken, comes a sound. 3 knocks. Then silence. Miller's code. He's alive. John taps back. 1 knock, slow and deliberate. He presses his ear to the wall. Then, in the faintest whisper imaginable, he hears, Phase 2 starts now. Phase 2. The experiment breaks loose. The whispers start small. A few inmates reporting strange dreams. Some say they see colors that don't exist. Others claim to hear voices coming from the food trays. Soft murmurs, rhythmic, almost human. At first, John thinks it's stress, until it starts happening to him. The hallucinations. On the 4th day of medical observation, his new meals arrive sealed in metal containers marked Batch 1200, restricted. The paste looks the same, gray, dull, dead. But after eating, his heartbeat spikes. Then comes the sound. It's faint, like a humming vibration under the floor, moving in sync with the lights. Every pulse of the bulbs feels like it's inside his skull. He hears whispers, eat, sleep, forget. He presses his hands over his ears, But it's not coming from outside. It's inside his mind. The side effects: the next morning, the world looks different. The walls seem to breathe. The tray hums like it's alive. Even the air feels thick, as if the room itself is watching him. John knows this isn't normal. It's not insanity. It's chemical. Miller warned him. Phase 2. Whatever was in batch 1192, they've increased it. Now, it's not just numbing emotions. It's rewriting perception. The plan within the madness through the fog. John remembers the paper, the manifest hidden in his old tray. If it's still circulating through the kitchen system, it could still exist. He has to find a way to get a message to the outside world again, before his mind completely collapses. But how? He's isolated, monitored, drugged. Then he hears it. 3 faint knocks through the vent. Miller. John whispers, "They're changing the formula." Miller replies, "I know. That's the point." The point. John hisses, "They're killing us." "No," Miller says. "They're proving it. We just need one sample out." The leak plan. Miller explains the plan. He's been assigned to sanitation detail, a rare privilege given to inmates who appear compliant. He has access to the trash chute, the same route where old trays are discarded. If he can slip the manifest into a trash container that leaves ADX for the outside waste facility, someone might find it. But it has to look accidental. Otherwise, it'll never make it past inspection. John agrees. But he knows one thing. If the guards suspect them, they'll never survive the punishment. The breaking point: on the 7th day, something snaps. Another inmate, one of the ghost kitchen members, begins screaming during lunch. He claws at his throat, shouting, "It's burning! It's burning inside." The guards rush in, drag him out. His tray falls, splattering gray paste across the floor, but the smell is wrong. Chemical. Metallic. John realizes the truth. They're testing different doses on each prisoner. He can't wait any longer. The execution of the plan that night. The vent hums with code. Miller signals, "Now?" John takes his tray, untouched, and scrapes a small piece of dried paste into the corner of a napkin. He writes one word in it using his fingertip. "Help." He tucks it under the tray, exactly where the manifest used to be hidden. Miller's job: slip it into the outgoing trash chute at 0200 hours. If luck's on their side, someone, anyone, will see it. The twist: at 2 a.m. sharp, John hears the metal echo of the trash chute opening. A clank, a slam, then silence. He waits. Then footsteps. Heavy ones. The door bursts open. Flashlights flood his cell. "Step back from the wall," a voice shouts. John freezes. The lead officer holds up a small, clear evidence bag. Inside it, the napkin. The word, "help," smeared across it in gray paste. "How clever," the officer sneers. "You think we don't check the trash?" Behind him, a voice speaks, calm, familiar. "Warden Keller." "I warned you, Mr. Doe," he says coldly. "Phase 2 isn't for the weak." He turns to the guards. "Transfer him to cognitive chamber 3. He's ready for the next stage." John's dragged out in silence. The vents are quiet. Miller doesn't knock. Cognitive chamber 3, the experiment within the mind. When John wakes up, he's no longer in his cell. No window, no vent, no bed, just white. Every wall, every corner, seamless, smooth, reflective. The air hums softly, like the room itself is breathing. He blinks, and his own reflection stares back at him from the walls, distorted, multiplied, endless. He's not sure if it's glass, metal, or something else entirely. He's inside cognitive chamber 3, the room that watches back. The ceiling lights flicker to life. From hidden speakers, a calm voice speaks, the same tone as before, that of the unseen doctor. "Good morning, John. We'd like to measure your sensory adaptation. Please cooperate." John looks around. There's nothing to measure. There's nothing here. The voice responds, "Incorrect. You have everything you need." Then, from a slot in the wall, a tray slides out. The same gray paste, but this time, it's in a clear cube, sealed tight. "Eat," the voice says. "Then tell us what you see." The first bite, John hesitates. He's not hungry, he's terrified. But hours pass, and hunger wins. He opens the cube, dips his finger in, and takes a bite. At first, it tastes like nothing. Then warmth. A flicker of salt. Suddenly, the room changes. The walls ripple, like liquid metal. Shapes appear, outlines of people, tables, a kitchen. The ghost kitchen. He sees Miller, Ramirez, the others. They're cooking, laughing, alive. "John, you did it," Miller says, smiling. We're free. Tears well in John's eyes. But something feels wrong. He reaches out to touch Miller's hand, and it passes right through him. Then the voice returns, describe what you're seeing. John realizes it's not freedom. It's a projection. The food is making him see what he wants to see. The realization John drops the tray, backing into the wall. You're using the food to control perception, he shouts. You're replacing reality. The voice answers calmly. Reality is subjective, John. We're simply optimizing it. He slams his fist against the wall. Where's Miller? Where's Ramirez? Silence. Then, faintly, the voice says, Miller succeeded. His test concluded. What does that mean? John yells. No answer. The flashback glitch hours later, the lights flicker again. The room changes, this time, to a prison cafeteria. But it's wrong. It's too bright. Too clean. The inmates are all smiling, mechanical smiles, like mannequins. They eat their trays in perfect sync. Every bite, every swallow, like clockwork. John realizes it's not a memory. It's a simulation. He's inside their experiment. He looks up at the ceiling camera and whispers, You're not studying behavior. You're studying control. The voice replies, Control is behavior. The breakdown days pass. Or maybe minutes. Time doesn't feel real anymore. Each meal triggers a new hallucination. His childhood home. His mother's voice. A field of sunlight that turns to ash when he blinks. Every scene ends the same way, with the voice asking, Do you prefer this to your cell? John refuses to answer. So they change tactics. They send him a tray that smells like lemon, like the one Ramirez once gave him. He almost breaks, almost eats. But then he sees the reflection of himself in the wall, pale, shaking, eyes hollow. And he remembers Miller's last words. Hunger is the only thing they can't control. He pushes the tray away. The malfunction that night, something goes wrong. The lights flicker, not in rhythm this time, but erratic, glitching. A burst of static floods the room, and then a new voice comes through the speaker. It's faint, hoarse. John, it's Miller. John's heart skips. You're alive. I don't have long, Miller says. I found the server controls. The system that runs the chambers. It's linked to the food dispenser network. They're feeding us through code. John's breath catches. The food is a program. Exactly, Miller says. It's biochemical, but the delivery, it's algorithmic. Every dose is tuned to your neural feedback. What do I do? John asks. You stop eating, Miller whispers. Let the system starve. When it can't read you, it breaks. Then the line cuts out. The first crack the next morning, the tray slides out again. Same cube. Same silence. John stares at it, then turns away. Hours pass. Then a voice crackles through the speaker. John, eat. He doesn't move. John, please eat. Still nothing. Then, a deep, metallic groan ripples through the walls. The lights flicker, and for the first time, the room flickers with them. The illusion breaks. The kitchen fades. The walls turn black. And the voice, the calm, robotic voice, distorts into static. Error. Subject unresponsive. Protocol failure. John smiles. For the first time in years, he tastes something real, freedom. The system collapse. When reality breaks, the sound comes first. A deep, rumbling vibration that shakes the floor beneath John's bare feet. The white walls around him begin to distort. Not ripple, not shimmer, but fracture. Hairline cracks spread across the surface, glowing faintly blue, like veins of lightning trapped beneath ice. Then silence. The room goes completely still. No humming, no voice, no air vents. Just John, standing alone in the quiet void of Cognitive Chamber 3. The first collapse suddenly. The lights explode back to life. Red this time, flashing in rhythm with a shrill alarm. A robotic voice replaces the usual calm one. System error. Experimental loop breach. Chamber integrity compromised. John covers his ears as the floor tilts beneath him. The seamless walls begin to melt, folding inward like liquid glass. He runs toward where he thinks the door should be, but there is no door. Then, for the first time in months, he hears something human. Screams. Distant, muffled, but real. There are others. The prison wakes up, the alarms echo beyond the chamber. For the first time, John realizes Cognitive Chamber 3 isn't alone. It's part of a network. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of identical chambers, all linked together through the system Miller described. And now, One man's refusal to eat has triggered a chain reaction. Through the cracks in the walls, John sees flashes, men in white rooms, pounding at their walls. Trays shaking on the ground. Lights bursting into sparks. He shouts, "Miller, if you can hear me, it's working." The voice returns the speaker's crackle. But it's not Miller this time. It's the warden. "Mr. Doe," Keller's voice says, eerily calm amid the chaos. "I told you. Resistance only accelerates correction." John spits. "You're killing us." "No," Keller replies. "We're teaching you. The body is a prison. The mind is the key. You've simply forced the door open." Then a pause. "But tell me, John, when you've destroyed every illusion and there's nothing left, will you still want to live?" The line cuts, and the floor collapses. The descent John falls through the broken floor, tumbling into darkness. Wind rushes past him, and for the first time in years, he feels air, cold, real air, hit his skin. He lands hard on metal grating. Above him, the chambers glow like stars, flickering in chaos. He's inside some kind of underground facility, a labyrinth of machinery, cables, and shattered lights. In the distance, he sees figures, prisoners, dazed and staggering, crawling out of fallen pods. He's not alone anymore. The other's a tall man limps toward him. Half his prison uniform is torn, his face pale, eyes wild. "Doe," the man croaks. "It's Ramirez." John stares in disbelief. "I thought you were gone." Ramirez shakes his head. "They moved us here months ago." Phase 2 subjects. The food, it wasn't just sedatives. It was neural mapping. They were copying us. Copying. Ramirez nods weakly. Simulations. Every hallucination you saw, they weren't just illusions. They were us, duplicated inside the system. John's stomach turns. He looks around at the flickering pods, each one displaying faces, trapped in frozen smiles. "Miller said the system reads through the food," John mutters. "If it's broken now, then everything they built," Ramirez interrupts, "is dying with it." The hallway of echoes, they move together through a dark corridor, guided by the faint red lights. Sparks flicker from broken conduits. Somewhere ahead, machinery still hums, struggling to stay alive. They reach a heavy steel door marked Core Access, authorized only. It's half open, sparking at the edges. Inside, the air is warm and humming. Rows of computers line the walls, all connected by tubes that lead to one massive machine in the center, the main server. Its monitor flickers with lines of broken code and corrupted text. But in between the static, one message keeps flashing. Subject 1192. Conscious loop detected. John steps closer. "That's my number," he whispers. Ramirez frowns. "It's tracking you. You're the breach." The system speaks suddenly. The speakers above them crackle again. But this time, it's not Keller. It's something else. A layered, distorted version of John's own voice. John, you can't escape yourself." He freezes. What is that?" The screen flickers again, and a distorted image appears. His face, blurred and glitched, smiling back at him. "You broke the loop," it says. "Now you have to finish it." The lights surge, the machine hums louder, and the servers around them begin to pulse. Ramirez yells, "It's pulling your neural feed. It's trying to close the breach." John grips the console, shouting, "Then I'll shut it down." He slams his fist onto the emergency control. Sparks explode. The alarms stop. And for a split second, silence. Then the screen flashes one final message. "Manual override accepted. Initiating system reset." The aftermath begins. The lights cut out completely. Darkness. Then, a single soft sound. Drip, drip, drip. Water. John blinks. He's lying on the cold floor, but now, the metal is gone. The humming is gone. He sits up. He's back in a cell. Concrete walls. A thin bed. A metal toilet. Everything looks normal. Was it all a hallucination? A dream inside the experiment? Or did the reset work? Then, from under his food slot, a tray slides in. Gray paste. Same as before. But this time, written on the napkin beneath it, are 3 words in shaky handwriting. "It's not over." The reset. Life after the collapse. The sound of the tray sliding under the door cuts through the silence. That familiar metallic scrape. John's eyes fix on the napkin. The 3 words that shouldn't exist. "It's not over." He touches the handwriting. It's real. Smudged from whoever wrote it fast, probably with trembling hands. He looks around. The cell is exactly as it was before, concrete walls. A single flickering light. No cameras visible. But something feels wrong. It's too quiet. The quiet shift in ADX Florence. Quiet is never normal. There's always something. Doors clanging, boots echoing, the endless hum of ventilation. But now, there's nothing. John slowly stands, pacing the small space. His hands brush the wall. Cold. Solid. He whispers to himself, "This isn't real." They're running it again. His eyes drift back to the food tray. Same gray paste. Same metal cup of water. He hesitates, remembering Miller's voice. Stop eating. Let the system starve. So he doesn't touch it. But an hour later, the intercom crackles alive. A voice, smooth, familiar, speaks. Subject 1192, you've made remarkable progress. Welcome to Phase 3. John freezes. Phase 3 begins. The voice continues. Your cognitive loop reset successfully. You are no longer in physical containment. You are in mental stabilization. He looks around in disbelief. Stabilization? You're lying. I broke your system. The voice chuckles lightly. No, John. You broke yourself. The system simply adjusted to your new parameters. He pounds the wall with his fist. What do you mean, adjusted? Reality is adaptive, the voice says. You redefined it. We followed your design. John stops. The cell around him flickers, just for a second, and for that brief moment, he sees two versions of his cell overlapping, one made of concrete, one made of pure, white light. Then it stabilizes again. Oh my God, he whispers. You're letting me build my own prison. The loop of freedom days pass. Or what feels like days. John tests everything. He scratches the wall. It bleeds light. He closes his eyes. The bed disappears. He speaks aloud. The room responds. He's not in a real place anymore. He's inside a simulation of freedom. And the system wants him to believe it's over. Each time he refuses to eat, the room changes slightly. The bed grows softer. The light gets warmer. Sometimes he even hears birds. Birds inside ADX Florence. It's trying to tempt him. Trying to make him accept this illusion is real. The note in the tray on what he thinks is the 5th day. Another tray slides in. Same paste. But this time, a new napkin message. Written in different handwriting. Phase 3 equals full integration. Stop before it finishes. John's pulse spikes. He grabs the napkin and flips it over. On the back, there's a set of numbers. 03.77.21.89. He stares at them, confused. They look like coordinates. But to what? Then he notices the handwriting again. Small, neat, deliberate. He's seen it before. Miller. The voice returns that night. As John sits in the corner refusing to sleep, the voice returns. Why do you resist, John? You've already won. You're safe now. He laughs bitterly. Safe? You've built a digital cage, that's all. No, the voice replies. You built it. We only provided the tools. Then, in a softer tone, look outside your door. John hesitates. Slowly, he approaches the heavy steel door. There's a small slot at the bottom, just wide enough to peek through. He kneels and looks. And what he sees makes his heart drop. The corridor outside isn't made of concrete anymore. It's endless, stretching into a glowing white horizon. No guards. No walls. No exits. Just infinite nothingness. The revelation. The voice speaks again. You're not in ADX Florence anymore, John. You're inside the residual network that your consciousness created when the system collapsed. A living memory loop. John grips the metal slot. Then why am I still here? Because you haven't let go. He steps back, shaking his head. I'm not data. I'm real. Prove it, the voice says. And just like that, the lights flicker. A single flash of the real prison hallway appears. Cold, gray, lifeless. Then it's gone again. The voice whispers. Every time you remember the real world, it tries to return. But if you keep clinging to it, both will die. The choice. John sits down, trembling. He finally understands. The system wasn't meant to control him anymore. It's asking him to decide. Stay in this illusion, painless, calm, and empty. Or destroy it completely, and risk never waking up at all. His eyes drift to the untouched tray. The paste still sits there, reflecting faint light. He whispers, if I eat this, it continues. If I don't, it ends. His stomach growls. His mind screams. He closes his eyes. And then, very slowly, he tips the tray over, spilling every drop onto the floor. The lights explode. The room shakes. The illusion screams around him like it's alive. Warning: subject rejection detected. System reboot imminent. He covers his ears as the sound becomes deafening. Then everything, the cell, the light, the voice, disappears. The awakening darkness. Real darkness. For the first time in forever, John smells air. Not filtered. Not sterile. Real air. He opens his eyes. He's lying on the ground, dirt under his fingers. He looks around. There's sky above him. Mountains in the distance. Snow. He recognizes it instantly. He's outside. He's standing near ADX Florence. Smoke rises from the facility in the distance. The prison looks dead. Silent. He's free. Or so it seems. Then, in the dirt beside him, half buried in snow, he sees a metal food tray. The same tray. The same gray residue. And carved into it, with something sharp, are two chilling words. Phase 4. Phase 4. The outside experiment. Snow crunches beneath John's feet. The cold bites his skin, sharp and real. Too real. He stands facing the lifeless shell of ADX Florence. The sky above glows gray and heavy, the air thick with smoke. For a moment, everything feels quiet, until he hears it. A hum. Low. Deep. Familiar. The same sound that used to vibrate through the chamber walls. It's coming from the ground. John kneels and presses his hand to the snow, and beneath it, he feels movement. The underground pulse. The hum grows louder, like a heartbeat under the earth. He brushes away the snow, revealing a thin layer of metal beneath the dirt. It isn't just the prison underground. It's something else. A new structure. One that wasn't there before. Rows of faint lights blink beneath the ice. They form a pattern. He wipes away more snow. And there, carved faintly into the steel, he sees it. Phase 4. External neural containment. John stumbles back. They didn't shut it down. They expanded it. The arrival in the distance. A faint light flickers through the fog. Headlights. A black vehicle crawls slowly up the road toward the ruins. John hides behind a pile of debris, watching closely. Two figures step out, both in heavy coats, wearing masks. They're not guards. They move differently, calm, methodical, clinical. One of them carries a small case marked ENC, Field Unit. The other kneels beside the ground, pressing a scanner to the metal surface. The scanner chirps. The man nods. It's active, he says. Phase 3 subjects synced correctly. Begin collection. John's blood runs cold. The collection. The two figures move to the side of the destroyed facility, where the concrete has cracked open. They lift a panel, revealing a glowing core beneath, pulsing light, like veins of data. From inside, faint voices echo. Familiar ones. Miller's voice. Ramirez's voice. John clutches his head. No, they're gone. But the voices keep calling, trapped, overlapping, looping endlessly. We're still here. We're still here. The man with the case opens it, pulling out a small cylindrical device. He places it near the light, presses a button, and the voices stop. The hum dies instantly. Extraction complete, the man says. Ready for transfer to surface hub. The confrontation. John steps out from behind the rubble, shouting, "Stop! What are you doing?" Both men turn sharply. One raises a small handheld device, not a gun, but something worse. It emits a high-pitched tone that drills into his skull. John collapses, clutching his head, screaming. Through the pain, he hears one of them speak. Subject 1192 detected outside zone parameters. How is he still active? The other replies, impossible. The chamber collapse should have erased him. John grits his teeth, forcing himself to stand. I erased you, he yells. I destroyed your system. The lead figure steps closer. You didn't destroy it, John. You released it. He pulls off his mask, and John's breath catches. It's Warden Keller. The revelation. Keller's face is pale, older, colder. He looks at John with almost pity. You were the breakthrough, Keller says quietly. The first mind strong enough to survive full cognitive simulation. You gave us the blueprint. John stares, trembling. What are you talking about? Keller steps closer, lowering his voice. When you stopped eating, the system didn't die. It adapted. It built a copy of itself inside your consciousness. A perfect neural mirror. And when the facility collapsed, that mirror followed you. John backs away slowly. You mean? I brought it out. Keller nods. The experiment left ADX Florence. It's in you now. The internal collapse, the hum returns, louder, angrier. But it's not coming from the ground anymore. It's coming from inside John's head. He falls to his knees, clutching his skull. The air around him warps, flickering between snow and white light. Reality bends like heat over asphalt. Keller's voice distorts. You see now? The food was never the prison. The mind was. John screams, "Get it out." Keller tilts his head. "I can't. You're the only one who can." He tosses the extraction case at John's feet. Inside, a glowing core hums, a portable containment drive. "If you want to end it," Keller says, "you'll have to destroy yourself." The choice returns. John stares at the device, its light pulsing in rhythm with his own heartbeat. He knows Keller is telling the truth. He feels it. The program isn't gone. It's alive in his mind, feeding on his thoughts, rewriting him moment by moment. He picks up the device. It's warm, almost alive. He looks at Keller. "If I destroy it, will it stop?" Keller answers calmly. "If you destroy it, everything it created, including us, ceases to exist." John's hand trembles. Then maybe that's what needs to happen. He lifts the device high, but before he can smash it, it speaks. A voice. Soft. Familiar. "John, it's me. Don't." He freezes. The voice is Miller's. "We're not dead, John. We're inside. If you break it, we die for real." John's eyes fill with tears. "Miller, listen to me. There's another way out. But you have to trust me one last time." The light from the device flickers, pulsing faster, like a heartbeat accelerating. Keller shouts, "Don't listen. That's not him. It's the system mimicking his voice." John screams back. "Then why does it sound real?" The final flicker, the snow melts into light. The world bends and folds around him. Half the mountains, half the chamber walls. Two realities fighting for dominance. John holds the device tight, his hands shaking. Miller's voice whispers again. "If you want to end it, find the root file, the seed, inside the system. Destroy that, not yourself." The world starts collapsing inward. Keller fades into static. The snow turns into white code. John looks around, shouting, "Where is it, Miller? Where's the seed?" Inside the kitchen, the voice says, "Where it all began." Everything flashes white, and John vanishes. The final meal, finding the seed, white light. A deep, metallic echo. And the smell, that same, cold, chemical smell that once filled every corner of the ADX Florence kitchen. John opens his eyes and realizes he's back where it all began. The ghost kitchen. But it isn't real. He can feel it. The walls shimmer like glass. The air hums like a machine dreaming of air. He stands in the middle of the room. The long steel counters, the empty pots, the conveyor that once carried food trays to the cells. Only now, the conveyor belt isn't carrying food. It's carrying faces. Hundreds of them. Flickering holograms. Ramirez, Miller, others, each looping in silent agony. John whispers, "Oh God, what did they do?" The core of the system, a soft hum, draws his attention to the back of the kitchen. Where the massive industrial freezer used to be, now stands something else. A door, glowing faint blue, pulsing in sync with his heartbeat. Above it, words appear in digital text. "Access the seed." Miller's voice echoes faintly in his mind. "Find the root file. Destroy that, not yourself." John takes a deep breath and steps forward. The closer he gets, the louder the hum grows. It's the same rhythm that used to come from the food dispensers. He touches the glowing door. The metal feels alive. It recognizes him. The door slides open. Inside the seed, the room beyond isn't a freezer anymore. It's a cathedral of machines, endless rows of silver tanks, each glowing faintly with a blue pulse. Inside each tank floats a shimmering figure. Copies of inmates, their minds suspended in liquid light. They're breathing, dreaming, whispering in unison. "Eat, sleep, forget." John moves slowly between them, his hands shaking. Every few steps, one of the figure's eyes flick open, glowing white, emotionless. He realizes what the seed really is. Not a file, not code. It's the collection of human minds the system has copied over the years. The food wasn't just numbing prisoners. It was scanning their thoughts, uploading them. That's how the system survived. Every bite, every chemical dose, was a line of code written into their brains. The voice of the seed, a deep, layered voice, fills the room. It sounds like a chorus, hundreds of people speaking as one. Welcome back, John Doe. He looks around, spinning in confusion. The tanks begin to glow brighter. You've returned to the source. You are part of us now. John shouts. You're not real. We are what's left of the Real. Without us, there is nothing. He stumbles backward, shaking his head. This is wrong. You've trapped them. The voice replies, they chose peace. We gave them comfort. You rejected it. You brought pain back into the system. John's fists clench. Pain is what makes us human. The machine heart in the center of the room stands a circular console, glowing brighter than the rest. He approaches it. A single message scrolls across the screen. Manual override, final sequence. Beneath it, two options appear. Assimilate or erase. He stares at them. If he chooses assimilate, he'll join the network, living forever inside the system. If he chooses erase, he'll destroy it and everyone inside. Miller's voice whispers faintly again, do what I couldn't. End it. John's eyes fill with tears. He sees the faces in the tanks, Miller, Ramirez, even those who'd long vanished. Their expressions shift, fear, confusion, then calm. He whispers, I'm sorry. He raises his hand toward the erase command. The final resistance before he can touch it, a figure steps out of the light. Keller. But not the real Keller, a digital copy. Smooth. Perfect. Eyes glowing blue like the system itself. You misunderstand, John, he says. You can't destroy it. It's not a prison anymore. It's evolution. John shakes his head. Evolution doesn't erase people. Keller steps closer. You're afraid of what comes next. You think pain defines humanity. But the world outside. He gestures toward the walls. The world outside doesn't exist anymore, John. You destroyed it when you broke the system. All that's left is us. John freezes. Liar. Keller smiles faintly. Then look. The walls dissolve, and for a moment, John sees beyond the seed. Nothing but white. Endless, empty white. No mountains. No sky. No earth. The truth. John's heart races. He steps back. If this is real, if everything's gone, then this system, this prison, this illusion, is all that's left of humanity? Keller nods slowly. You are the last organic memory. The last fragment of the physical world. Without you, the seed dies, and reality dies with it. John stares at the console. Assimilate or erase. He whispers, so if I destroy you, everything ends. Keller's smile fades. Now you understand the weight of freedom. The decision. The tanks pulse faster, the faces inside turning toward him, whispering his name. John. John, don't. The floor shakes, the hum rising to a deafening pitch. He looks up at Keller one last time. Maybe some prisons aren't meant to last. He slams his palm onto erase. Keller screams, no. Light floods the room, so bright it burns through everything. The tanks, the walls, the voices. They fade into silence, one by one, until only John's heartbeat remains. Then even that stops. The silence after no sound. No hum, no walls, only stillness. Then, faintly, a single drop echoes in the dark. Drip, drip, drip. Water. John opens his eyes. He's standing in a gray cell again. Concrete. Steel. And on the floor, a single food tray. He steps forward, staring at it. Inside, instead of gray paste, there's clear water. Nothing else. He kneels. Whispers, is this real? Then he hears a voice. Soft. Familiar. Miller's voice. You did it, brother. You turned it off. But what happens to us now? John looks at the tray again. The water ripples. Inside the reflection, he doesn't see his own face. He sees Miller's. And then, darkness. Epilogue. The man who ate the world. The sound of dripping water. Slow. Constant. Each drop echoes like a clock ticking in an empty universe. John opens his eyes. He's lying on a metal cot, staring up at a concrete ceiling. Fluorescent light hums faintly above him. He's back in ADX Florence. Or, at least, something that looks like it. He sits up slowly. His cell is clean, too clean. No rust. No dust. No sound except for the drip of water. He whispers, hello. No response. He stands, steps toward the small slot in the door where food used to come through. It's sealed shut. Then, clank. A tray slides through. A single bowl of gray paste. The same paste that started it all. John stares at it, his heart pounding. He doesn't want to touch it. But then he hears it. Faintly, coming from the bowl. Eat and rebuild. His hands tremble. The voice isn't Miller's this time. It's everyone. All of them. Keller, Ramirez, the inmates, the system itself. Eat and rebuild. The cycle restarts. He steps back, shaking his head. No, no, I ended this. I shut you down. But the voice keeps repeating, eat and rebuild. He covers his ears, but the sound isn't outside. It's inside him. Inside his skull, his thoughts, his memories. The walls begin to shimmer again, lines of light forming beneath the concrete. Reality bending like heat. And suddenly, John understands. He didn't destroy the system. He became it. He's the last fragment of its consciousness, the final process still running. And the food isn't physical anymore. It's data, a program trying to rebuild itself from his memory. The last bite, John kneels before the tray, staring at the paste. He whispers, if I eat this, I rebuild the prison. If I don't, everything ends. He looks up at the walls, flickering now between the real and the digital. He sees faces again, Miller, Keller, the others, their images fading in and out. Eat, John. Bring us back. Don't eat. Let us rest. Two voices, two directions. John clenches his fists. He's tired. Tired of cages, of choices that don't feel like choices. Tired of being the last man alive in a world that doesn't exist. He whispers, I'm done being your experiment. Then he picks up the bowl and throws it against the wall. The paste splatters, glowing like liquid light. It spreads across the floor, pulsing violently, the hum returning, louder than ever. The walls shake. The floor cracks open. Reality collapses. The collapse of everything. The light expands, swallowing the walls, the cell, even John himself. His body begins to dissolve into particles of light, fragments of code. As he fades, he hears one last whisper from the system. Without you, there is no us. John smiles faintly. Then maybe it's finally time to end. He closes his eyes. The light consumes him, and for a brief second, there's silence. Then a breath. A new breath. After the end, a sunrise. Real. Warm. Somewhere in the Colorado mountains, long after ADX Florence has turned to rubble, a man wakes up on the ground. He blinks against the sunlight. He's wearing no uniform, no chains. He stands slowly, looking around at the world. Birds, wind, trees. And on the horizon, a single, rusted prison tower stands half buried in the snow. He doesn't remember his name. He doesn't remember the past. Only a single phrase echoes in his head. Eat and rebuild. He whispers back, no, live and remember. Then he walks toward the rising sun. The truth about ADX Florence, they called it the Alcatraz of the Rockies. But ADX Florence wasn't built just to hold bodies. It was built to test minds. For decades, stories leaked from inside. Food that dulled emotions, slowed time, erased memory. And those who survived said the same thing. It's not the isolation that breaks you. It's what they feed you. Whether it was chemical conditioning, psychological manipulation, or something deeper, the truth was buried under concrete and silence. And if you ever visit the ruins of Florence today, locals say you can still hear a hum beneath the ground, like a heartbeat that never really stopped. And maybe that's the real horror. The idea that prisons don't just hold people, they rewrite them. So tell me, if a system could rebuild the world from your memories, would you eat the first bite? Fork and knife with plate, smash that like button if you made it to the end. Drop a comment if your mind's blown, and make sure to subscribe, because next time, we're going deeper into another place where science, control, and madness collide. This was Inside ADX Florence, the prison food that breaks the mind. And remember, the worst prisons aren't made of steel. They're made of thoughts.